Once you take back an agency supply point, you can regenerate there instead of here at the keep. You can also use it to travel across the city far more quickly.
Hey everyone, it's Tom here, and continuing our coverage of these Xbox One X 4K patches for older Xbox 360 games, we have Crackdown here, and to join me to talk about that is Richard Ledbetter.
Hello there, interesting one this one. I really enjoyed revisiting this game. It's absolutely fantastic with this new X enhanced patch. So we're going to be taking a look at how the game runs on Xbox One X in both the performance and the graphics mode that the X emulation now has. And we're going to be stacking it up against the original Xbox 360 code. So this is an interesting one, Tom, because, well, how do you do comparisons in a game that is so dynamic as Crackdown, that's literally changing every second?
So we went with a network play game with a direct cable going from our old Xbox 360 to our newfangled Xbox One X. It turned out to be the best way to get a stutter-free performance between the two, avoiding online networking. So that's what you're seeing here, and so we went through with the idea that we'd get some kind of performance clips and see exactly what's going on and what sort of enhancements we get with the Xbox One X, if any at all. But on the visual side, first, it's worth mentioning there are a few sort of touch-ups which you get on X, and most of them seem to be automated by the Xbox One emulator.
Yeah, that's right. So initially we get 9 times the resolution, as per normal on these X enhanced titles. This was originally a 1280 by 720 game running with 2 times multi-sample anti-aliasing, I believe. So basically that anti-aliasing remains and the resolution is blown up to full 4K, and there's, well, I'd say that the improvement is quite remarkable.
Fundamentally, you know, the LODs are the same. You can still see those cars in the distance kind of fade in and fade out. And as we found with network play, we had to abide by the same rules of the number of cars that can manifest in the same instance. So, you know, that makes sense for the 360, and they're not changing the game logic there for Xbox One X. There are sort of some superficial benefits, as you'd expect with X, like the texture filtering. There's also the alpha res as well.
Yeah, this is interesting because it seems to be the case that we're looking at half resolution alpha on Xbox 360. So these explosions, whenever they intersect with geometry, you get some really harsh sawtooth edges there that look quite ugly. Now initially we thought, hey, this is all completely gone on Xbox One X.
Yeah, that's what we thought at first, but it turns out the game does use a compromised res for the alpha parts. So in this case, it seems like transparency resolution runs at 40% of the full 4K. That's 40% on each axis, making 1536 by 864, which still looks like an upgrade over the original Xbox 360. Worth noting, we noticed this with Forza Horizon, that the text elements, we seem to go on a lot about text in these games, but it's kind of relevant. This game has upgraded HUD elements, but there are some parts which are just using the old asset as well.
Yeah, I mean, this game is so old now, I can't help but think that, you know, the vector elements are being properly rendered at native resolution, while some other elements, bitmaps and whatnot, still scaled up 720p. But overall, the HUD kind of holds up, I think.
It's mostly as you'd expect there, but it's surprising how much of the HUD is actually upgraded to 4K. But that about rounds up any visual upgrade you'll get with this on X. Mostly it's the same game, and we had a blast playing this, actually.
Yeah, it's actually been quite a remarkable experience. It's really made me sort of excited and hopeful for Crackdown 3, a native Xbox One X title. I mean, the carnage that we've just been inflicting on the world here has just been immense. So where do we go next? Should we look at performance on Xbox 360 versus Xbox One X in the graphics mode?
We've had a snippet of it already, but this is one of our more focused stress tests. We thought, let's really push the physics, because that's what Crackdown is all about.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, from what I can see here, when we are physics bound, I believe that we're CPU limited by the host console, which in all cases is the Xbox One X here. So yeah, I mean, essentially you can see that the frame rate drops, the stutter, when we have a huge explosion. It's pretty much the same, but you can see that the X is inching ahead. And in certain clips that we were running earlier where we weren't physics bound, the Xbox One X at 4K was still running significantly more smoothly than the Xbox 360 version, and of course, because it's running under backwards compatibility, no tearing whatsoever.
Yep, it's a double whammy for improvement, and that's just the graphics mode. So this is another test. We gave it a good run for its money, pushing those physics, but yeah, not much difference in that case. But then again, those are extreme moments.
One thing I want to say actually, Tom, we actually initially we wanted to do a three-way comparison here with 360, One and 1X, and we were going to do it on Xbox Live. And the problem that we had there was massive stutter, which wasn't in any way representative of the single player mode. So yeah, we decided to knock that on the head, and thankfully System Link worked, but we had to actually connect the cables directly between the two consoles, going through a router.
Yeah, I haven't done that since the Halo Combat Evolved days. It brought back fond memories actually.
Yeah, so this was actually a full-on LAN game that we were doing here. Not many titles support that anymore.
And we did the same thing for this test. We've now moved from 360 versus graphics to just pure Xbox One X versus another Xbox One X with the two modes in play. We've LAN'd the two consoles up and we just went at it in the same way.
Yeah, now this was interesting for a couple of reasons, specifically because we've yet to find a game on Xbox One X where the performance mode is actually needed. And if you do engage it, obviously you lose the 9x resolution boost and all of the other lovely stuff. So, up until now, we haven't actually found any reason at all to actually run with performance mode on the X. But Crackdown, well, I believe that we are still, in the physics side of things, limited by the host console. But in the graphics side of things, which does have implications obviously for single player, it is a touch smoother.
It is. I think we can prove that quite fairly in this bit we're coming up to now. We were looking at pretty much the same thing. It's fair to say we're not exactly matched, but it's close enough to say you're getting a better ride with performance mode, the green line on the left. So yeah, you are getting a marginally improved experience, but would you want to take it to go back to 720p? I don't think I would.
We actually ran real stress tests here, and this is an end game scenario. So essentially we're fully tooled up, we've got the most powerful weapons, our character attributes are absolutely maxed. This is kind of like Crackdown potentially at its very worst. You're getting slightly more stability. Fundamentally, the physics side of things, you will still be CPU limited. Again, there isn't a huge amount in it, but I suspect in single player mode, possibly you will get a smoother run of play. But would I trade that for native 4K resolution? No chance. No chance at all.
It reminds me that this series was always about the physics. This very unique approach to an open world design where you just get everything you need in terms of the building blocks to get from A to B, and otherwise you're collecting those orbs, always a very compulsive, addictive thing. So yeah, absolutely, it's got me pumped to see Crackdown 3 whenever that lands.
Well, I think from my perspective, the surprising takeaway was kind of just how well this really does still hold up. I mean, this is a really old game. And when we're not stacking up 20 odd cars and making huge explosions, frame rate is pretty good. It's certainly better than the original 360 version, but the style of the graphics is such that it hasn't really aged as badly as you think. And although the world is probably slightly sparser than what we're kind of used to from this generation, it's still kind of pretty populated. Yeah, when we're sort of just running about in single player, just blowing tons of stuff up, the carnage is just, absolutely unbelievable. And you think, yeah, if this is 360 doing this, what can the Xbox One do once we get the proper sequel? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. But I honestly think that if you've got this game, revisit it on Xbox One X. And if you haven't, check it out. I mean, I went to a local store, second-hand store, picked up 2 copies of this game, £1.50 each. The amount of value we've had from that £1.50 in the last couple of days, unprecedented.
I think that's as good a note as you need to leave it on. Thank you, Rich.
No problem at all.
So if you do want to see this video at its 4K source file quality, we have that on our Patreon website at digitalfoundry.net. If you just want to see it on YouTube, that's fair enough. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. But until next time, from me and Rich, thanks for watching.